Dre and Dave hit it hard in the dark, spinning tales from the void never bark. Movies, shows, they tear apart. Dimensions clash, they ignite the spark. Couch debates, turn the volume up. Set the chaos, overflow the cup. Alien worlds and twisted scenes. Banter spreads like electric dreams. Outer dimensions ride the waves. Trying days that flames ablaze. Discussing bits and cosmic plays. Beyond the stars they find their place. They find their place. Ripping through the deep.
Hey everyone, welcome back again to another episode of the Outer Dimensions podcast. Now, if you notice this week, we are not live because, well, Dre's got a family trip going on. I have Nickel City Comic Con that I will be working in addition to the Ride for Roswell. And then again on Sunday, Nickel City Comic Con. So I will be working the entire week and I will not be we won't be in the chat, but please comment, like, subscribe, and please follow us every Friday night, 9 p.m. Easternish, on the Outer Dimensions podcast. Also, Drake the Geek Dad YouTube channel, and of course, Dave's Dimension YouTube channel. But guys, you know our premise. We're a bunch of guys. We're just a bunch of friends who like to chop things up, whether it's movies, music, TV, and more. This week, we're jumping into rings, so to speak. But let's get our introductions out of the way. He is the one true tribal chief of the Outer Dimensions podcast. Acknowledge him. Dre the Geek Dad, of course, and we have the Mr. Wonderful. Travis, welcome.
Thank you
I'm
very
sorry,
much
but
for having me, guys.
when I think Mr. Wonderful, I almost think I get Paul Orndorff.
Orndorff. That's exactly who I thought of. Paul Orndorff. That's like, which is good. It's apropos.
And
He
you guys know
stole it
me.
from me. He stole it from
Dave's
me.
Dimension, the Dimensionola of Rock and Rolla. Dre is our OG tribal chief of the ODP, aka the Outer Dimensions podcast. Stay tuned. There might be some new shirts with that branding, guys, so stay tuned for that. But we're just a bunch of guys who like to discuss, break down movies, music, and more. This week, we decided, hey, we all love wrestling. So why don't we bring up movies featuring pro wrestlers, not wrestling movies, because there are a few, some that are good, some that are, well, no holds barred, and some that are a few others that I have brought up in the past, but we won't go there. But we're going to go ahead and break down. Dre came up with the graphic this week. Of course, we get Becky, we get John Cena, we get Dwayne. And why is Xavier Woods there?
So I was looking for images when I come up with our
I mean, has he appeared in anything outside of reality shows?
If you count a sex tape, yes, then he has done some stuff besides Up Up Down Down. So, and this is the adult version.
That was Up Up Down Down too.
Exactly.
That was Up Up Down Down too.
He definitely won a title belt for that one, folks. But
wow. I mean, Dwayne and John have obviously been in a host of movies and TV shows of their own. And of course, Becky Lynch is going to be in the new Star Trek, which I'm looking forward to, Academy. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of character she plays. And her in sci-fi,
it'll work.
I'm looking forward to seeing her in that Starfleet uniform. But that's a whole other discussion right there.
WWE has always had their hands in Star Trek. Like they have always had The Rock, Big Show. Somebody has shown up in Trek.
Yeah, because Show did an episode of Enterprise, and
no, not Enterprise. He did Voyager.
No, The Rock did Voyager. Big Show was on Star Trek Enterprise as an Orion.
Okay.
Trust me.
I think it needs to be a battle royal to figure it out.
I know. I feel like
I mean,
But
Listen, if Dre and I are going to have a match, it's going to be TLC.
oh yeah, we have to go hardcore. Like we're like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. We have to like we may love each other as brothers, but I'm gonna beat his ass.
It's going to be TLC, but no tax.
Oh yeah, no tax.
Okay,
and too much.
And I don't know who said it, but Star Trek Voyager season 6, episode 15, original air date February 2000. The Rock starred in it.
It was the Big Show. Hey, listen. It was. I know he rock bottomed like kneeling
because the Rock took on 7 of 9 Jerry Ryan.
Why not?
And Big Show held to Paul from Enterprise up like a little rag doll.
Big Show was in Enterprise season 4, episode 14, November 2004.
Boom!
I love him already. Like he wins the internet, folks. But yeah, like again, I chose Kinnikuman, and a lot of you know that I'm a huge anime fan. Kinnikuman has inspired many wrestlers, as in like Samoa Joe, Kenny Omega, the Kinniku Buster is the Samoan Buster that he does. And they actually give it the homage from that show, which is Ultimate Muscle here in the US. But that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about movies. And this is the first time in a long time that Dave, myself, and our guests have a different set of films. And they're all fire, like hot fire, folks. So I want to jump into it. Now, my pick was pretty much a throwaway. I don't even need to talk about it because it's Rock, Emily Blunt. I love the Jungle Cruise. Been on it 1,000 times when I went to Disney. Went on it in Disneyland.
Never seen it.
It is. It's funny. It's good. It's corny. It's campy. If you are a Disney fan, which I am, and you've been to Disney World where they've been on the Jungle Cruise and they say you see the 9th wonder of the world, the backside of water. The Rock says it, and it is hilarious because if you've been on the ride and you see the movie, it is like the perfect marriage of the ride and the movie. Now, granted, they hook it up a little bit more, and it's cool, but again, it was just like I knew I needed something that was relevant, funny, and Disney did it well. Now, I know Travis's pick I have not seen, and that is weird because I usually seen a lot of John Cena stuff. So,
I'll admit I haven't. I've heard of it. I hadn't seen it. So
man,
I'll have to watch it
Stanicky.
after the show tonight. I'll have to find it somewhere.
Definitely check it. It's on Netflix or whatever, I think, right? I think it was like, oh no, it's Amazon Prime. It was an Amazon Prime exclusive originally. I didn't even know what it was, and I happened to see it, and I was like, wait, that's John Cena and Zac Efron? Like, this is gonna be good. I dig those guys. I dig Zac Efron. I think he does a good corny, like campy, guys movie, right? Like, and then with John Cena in there and whatnot, Cena, he went all out, right?
Was he hard in Neighbors?
Yeah, that's Zac Efron was from Neighbors.
I've seen him in Neighbors, so
that's where I kind of see that, or even like Baywatch when he was with The Rock, and very, very comical, like that bros type movie and stuff. Mm-hmm. But my wife even watched it with me, and it was good. It was a rock hard, it was his unhinged comedic role as his rock hard Rod. The movie's absurd premise, right, is like 3 dudes invented a fake friend their entire life, and then hired a washed up actor to play the guy at one point. It was a perfect setup for Cena's kind of range of characters that he plays, and he plays a range of a character in it. It was a good movie. It had energy through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. It's got that over the top Farley Bros humor, and showing Cena kind of showing off a little bit more than just action and muscles. It definitely
it's a Farrelly brothers.
I think
the guys
so.
from Dumb and Dumber.
That's the notes I had. And a little note there for the movie. Nathan Jones actually appears in it briefly as a character. And I didn't realize that until after when I was doing some more research for this.
Nice. Now I have to watch it because Nathan Jones, I haven't seen him since, God, what was the last martial arts movie that was, he was in a martial arts film with Jet Li. No, not even Jet Li. It was, it wasn't it Ip Man or something recently? He did something recently where it was like in the last 10 years, I've seen him do something. And I was like, wow,
Never Back
Nathan
Down?
Jones. No, he has like a walk on. Like he literally is like, hey, it's a guy you're random.
He was in Mad Max.
Yeah, he was in Fury Road 2015, Street Fighter 2026.
That's
he was
the
in
the new one, yeah.
He was in Conan the Barbarian, and he was in The Protector.
That's where I saw him,
Where
with Tony Jaa.
Yeah.
Looks like he was also in Furiosa.
he was also in Never Back Down, No Surrender, and Scorpion King 4.
Let's not even go there because Scorpion King did not make this list. I forgot to preface this. Dave made a comment to me yesterday about this when we had talked about it earlier this week. He said, "Yeah, I noticed it's a part 1." There's obviously multiple times that we could sit down, and I felt like we could go good, bad, and then middle of the road. So that's how this is going to be like a series.
Like, all honesty, there are movies that have featured wrestlers that are guilty pleasures of mine, including the infamous Suburban Commando,
Oh Lord.
which features quite a few wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I picked stuff that I thought like these are movies I can watch on repeat, but also were surprising because, like, I mean, you know, your pick of Ricky Stenicki. I mean, look at the poster. John Cena dressed up as a Britney Spears. It's just like I think the poster will give me nightmares for years. But
it's a good movie.
I mean, Cena's hilarious. He's proved that. I'm a big fan of Peacemaker.
He's got good delivery.
Because
watched it.
I hated the character of Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie, but then the TV show, like, it proved Cena he can do a lot of stuff. I mean, he's done some pretty good roles. But for me, I went with a Knockout, which is a very un-Steve Austin movie to do. Because he's, in the movie, he's like a janitor at the school. And he befriends this one kid who's obviously being bullied, and he teaches the kid to be a boxer. I mean, usually when we see movies, we see Austin either as the henchman, we see him as the bad guy, or we see him as the, tough as nails, man on a mission. Like, think of Condemned. There's been so many movies like, you'll see him going against a biker gang led by Danny Trejo. There's a lot of movies like that, right? And this is just one where he's not being the hard ass. He's being kind of the caring guy, kind of a pseudo Texas version of Mr. Miyagi, if you will. And it's a good movie. I mean, you've seen Steve Austin as, probably how he is in real life. Steve Austin, you're not seeing Stone Cold. You're not seeing a hard ass. It is a very nice, it's a family movie with Steve Austin. It's not the Tooth Fairy with The Rock, but hey,
it's definitely not Blockers with Cena.
I almost had that, but Ricky Stenicki won me over because it was like a little bit more raunchy and more enjoyable than even Blockers.
Wait, Ricky Stenicki is more raunchy, and I own the unedited version, the unrated version of Blockers.
I don't know that I saw it's been a while since I saw Blockers, so maybe I'm wrong. But I liked Ricky Stenicki better than Blockers just because the idea, the premise, right? Okay. This idea that, because I could picture, as a guy who's been married for 20 something years at this point, I could imagine if I was intelligent enough back in my, teenage years to go, what if we all came up with a guy named Ricky Stenicki to throw the shit on whenever anything goes wrong? And then once a year we can take a trip for the boys to go see Ricky Stenicki. And that just is a getaway trip. And there's no real, it's just perfect.
No, it's genius.
No, I definitely got to check this out now.
I mean,
it's good.
Now that you've explained the premise, I mean, I think it's kind of up there with Tag.
Oh, Tag was another good one.
Oh, dude, that is my favorite movie of all time. It's right up there with my top, like, it's got to be in my top 4 or 5 movies. It is by far one of my favorite movies in the world. Wow. It just hits like right here perfectly.
It does. It does.
It's you're keeping your youth of your crew you had back in the day. You keeping it together, and that's always something that let's face it. You grow up. People move. One of my best friends, who's been around the world because he was in the Marines, he retired officially like 2 or 3 years ago. Lives in California with his wife, who he actually met in Okinawa. Like, a lot of my friends are like all scattered. but you try and keep them together. But it's cool, like you could do like a once a year kind of a trip, get the crew together, and just goof off and just be idiots again.
That was was the premise. That movie is the premise of my fantasy football league that I ran for like 12, 13 years. The last, last 12, 13 years with my buddies. It was like crew. We all worked. A lot of us worked together. Some of us moved on to other jobs over the years and stuff. But like every time somebody's thinking about leaving it, I was like, dude, do you realize, have you seen the movie Tag? Go watch the movie Tag. That is a reason for this league. That is a reason we all do this. We have a live draft once a year. It is an excuse to keep this crew together. That movie has got like that by far is like my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Like it's way up there. There's just no wrestlers in it. Sorry. We diverged there.
No, that's good though. This is what the show is notorious for doing.
But Jeremy Renner has the skills of a wrestler, so yeah.
He does now.
It could have been Cody Rhodes.
So my pick is ironically enough the one Travis has not seen and the one Dave hates. So
I don't hate it. It's just not it's not my favorite of the Suicide Squad movies.
I will explain.
Believe it or not,
the biggest reason I love this movie is because David Goyer is very weird when it comes to directing films. Like you give him Suicide Squad the first month, and he made it more about Harley and the Joker and Batman than it was about like Deadshot, Diablo. Like Diablo was the character everybody wanted to see and make it like. And
Diablo was badass though,
and Diablo's badass, and like. Granted, he gets his role as Magnum PI out of that, but like it was kind of like ho hum, And then what we get the Joker showing back up in Batman vs Superman, like years later, like they said they throw like nods to it. I don't care about that. Now, the Suicide Squad, knowing Cena was going to be Peacemaker, I was like, okay, I'll go see this in the movies and laugh, and I was impressed. And then I watched Peacemaker, the show. And I absolutely have been in love with the character since. I hated him in the movie because I was geared to hate him in the movie. Because he was an antagonist. He was one of the villains on the team working against the team. And when you watch him, it's that level of acting chops is something Cena is Batista, Cena, The Rock. That's how I've always rated movies when I look at the actors' caliber of how they can show range. Batista is the one that's shown me the most, where he had no lines in Spectre and kills it as a villain. And then you get Cena, who is hamming it up, but with this quasi Punisher, Captain America, Winter Soldier mashup, and it works. And it's funny and it's hilarious. And the fact that he lived to get a TV series and is now getting a second season coming this fall.
And we pretty much thought he was dead in this movie, but he survived.
No spoiler alert: if he gets shot, and then we all think he's dead, and then watch the first season, he's not. Yeah. So that was my pick, and Travis, obviously, I'm gonna defer to you because your pick is easily one that I would pick as well.
Yeah. So. With the Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a little backstory for this one and why it really moves up the rank. Huge MCU.
Spoiler alert.
Right? So, huge MCU nerd. Going back, and then honestly, it's funny because before we went in the green room, we were talking about Fantastic Four coming out soon, but that was one of the earlier, the old ones, right? The original ones with the original Captain America, whatever, Chris Evans, right? So I refused to get into MCU movies when they came out because Johnny Storm cannot be Captain America. It doesn't work in my world. It was very hard for that. So I actually didn't start watching MCU movies. I mean, I watched the Iron Man ones, but then when they started introducing Captain and doing the Avengers, I had not seen the first Avengers movie. I actually watched Captain America, Winter Soldier, because Winter Soldier is one of my favorite characters. That's when I finally accepted they aren't going to fix this for me. I got to just enjoy it for what it is. And I remember being at the theater at that point. We started watching all of them, the movies, and then Guardians was coming out, and my brother-in-law, myself, my oldest son would go, and my father-in-law would go to these movies, and we're watching the previews, and the Guardians comes up. And me and my brother-in-law look at each other because I didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were at the time. I didn't really know those characters. So I looked at him like, man, that looks stupid as shit. Sorry for the language.
No,
I was like, this
it's all
looks
good. You got
dumb.
language all you want.
Cool. I was like, this is like
Yeah.
this looks really stupid, and I was like, but I'm committed to the cause now. I mean, I accepted that Johnny Storm could be Captain America, so I got to give Guardians a shot. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite movies in all of MCU is Guardians. It's just I laughed so freaking much from Rocket. I named my dog after Rocket because I have a beagle that has like that rocket looking, raccoon face, right? So like I'm a huge nerd for Guardians, but I didn't think, again, I'm not a Dave Bautista guy, or really didn't care for him as a wrestler. I always, he was not the guy that I enjoyed. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to do movies. This is going to suck. Like, and then, he's like, oh, it went over your head. And he's like, no, didn't go over my head. Nothing goes over my head. I'm too fast. Like, those were his lines and things like that. And it's like, if I move slow, you can't see him. Like, just the stupid, obnoxious humor. It was so layered with his character. The comedic timing and the moments that he had, perfect. So that comedy, like, he made a lot of that movie for me. Everyone else played into it, but like he did so. I think the bar was so low for me on that movie and him that him and that movie blew it out of the water for me. And by far one of my favorite movies. And it's one of the MCU movies that I'll go back and watch quite frequently with the kids if we've got nothing else going on. So love that movie. And I'm a fan favorite of Dax. Very disappointed that or not Dax, Drax, that he's moving on from the MCU at this point and stuff. So
because and I love Batista, and I know he said it recently. It was a podcast he did for the Asian Pacific Islander like film, like they had like a big film symposium and they interviewed him. And that was a big surprise to me because I didn't know he was part Samoan, like Polynesian. I always knew that he was Filipino because he worked at a nightclub that my brother-in-law worked at in New York.
Oh, wow.
He was a bouncer. Like they both were bouncers at the same club, which I thought was awesome.
Wow.
And when I found out that he was like, the suit, the paint, it was just because he weighs 190 pounds now. And
he's so small. I just saw pictures like yesterday.
Exactly. He is so like I'm bigger than he's about my size now. And I'm like to go from that amount of muscle mass to where he's at now, and then he had to carry it for Disney. And he said he's like, I'm done. Like Drax retired. Like that character is the Destroyer's done. And I was like, man, but like, they were like, it's such a good character. And then I know the other flip side of it was there were Make-A-Wish kids that were autistic that wanted to that parents went and said, my son's very much like you and he's autistic. And that character, even though not autistic, if you sit and if anybody has family members or people on the spectrum or neurodivergent, you see a lot of yourself in Drax. And I felt like that was such a great, as a family man, and I know you get it, Travis, when you have kids, if your kids can find something of themselves in a superhero or another character, it hits differently. And I think that Drax did such a great job showing that range, even in the Christmas special. Because I've seen all three movies and the Christmas special. He killed it in every single one.
Yes, one of my favorite Christmas song in the world came from that movie now. Like, Mrs. Claus is working the polls. Come on, Mrs. Claus is working the polls. All the subtle things in that, like, it's the best holiday song ever. Yeah.
And you got Kevin Bacon.
Definitely. And that point about the point that he's relatable from that, I never put it together. And I don't know if that was consciously an effort of the way they depicted that character and had him do that. But you're 100% right, is that he is relatable to a lot of people who whether it be, and I think in the past it might have been called like Asperger's or whatever, right? Like
now we're like the term is neurodivergent.
Okay, and I may not know the official term.
No. The only reason I know this because my job, I did training at my job, and it's like and my wife that's what her doctorate's in understanding how neurodivergence work. So the PC term is that, but we know people that are on the spectrum. So
that's exactly. So when they're on the spectrum, and like I've interacted with people and definitely have family and friends that are deal with that and whatnot. So that I never really put the correlation of the character to that. But I can definitely see it, and how someone I mean, I could relate to Fat Thor for a little while, right? Like I was like, damn, I gotta move it. There's a character made after me, so like, hey, I can relate, so I can only imagine that, someone who's sees the way he acts and the range in which he played it, where things were so
literal.
They couldn't be abstract, right? Like the abstraction of something going over somebody's head. It had to be finite. It's like, no, they can't go over my head. I'm too fast. Like I could see how that would, see things in that same light. So yeah, I didn't consider that was a brilliant perspective on that.
Yeah, it's because the literality of what he was.
That's it.
It's like he looks at the world in just this very in non-abstract, like
yes.
when he's eating the Zargnux. Like you see him eating the Zarg nuts, and he's just eating the Zarg nuts, and he's like, I'm moving so slow that I appear invisible. And then he's like, when he realizes that it's like stupid that they see him, he's like, screw it, and he walks away. Like there's certain things that you could tell that it's like his mind is, it's because his species is different. But even in Guardians 3, I think that was like the best when like Mantis and Nebula snapped on him, and you just see him be like, listen, I speak their language just because I don't speak like you do. And I was just blown away because I was like, oh shit, that's like how like my daughter's neurodivergent, not like in a bad way, like she has ADHD. So there's certain things I've always overlooked that I'm not understand. I didn't understand how to read her body language and understand her. Right. My wife's the same way with her ADHD. So it's like, oh shit, like the fact that now I'm paying attention to those things, it is like speaking a different language. And when those kids were understanding his language to them, and he was like, derp, 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 it was such like an aha moment. And it really, it hits on lots of levels. So I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it was a great movie.
Fantastic. Dave?
Well, before we go on to my pick, Guardian hits. Now, Dre knows some of this. My wife is a big Guardians fan. First Marvel movie I got her into was actually Doctor Strange, and then we saw Guardians, and she fell in love with it. So much so that she has cosplayed as a Ravager a couple times. She has a wrist tattoo that is Michael Rooker's signature on her wrist. So she is a big Guardians fan. And I mean, that's just because let's be honest, James Gunn hits it with the music. He is great at picking music. He's great at talent. I mean, my wife will listen to the playlist of all the movies. That's her jam. But she loves like Chris Pratt starting off walking like an idiot with his Walkman, jamming to the music. The dry humor of Drax, and like you guys already have covered, Batista. I mean, I'll say this, and this is going to give me some hate. He's probably the best actor that's come from the WWE.
100%. You and I've said
100%.
I mean, and that's counting Dwayne.
Oh, absolutely. Wait, if you want one character, if you want one character to play a character, that's Rock, and that's all he's going to play. He's the Rock in every single thing he's ever been in.
Because we are, and folks, just so you guys know, for the fans that have said, oh, why have we not mentioned like Nick Nemeth and Dean Ambrose or John Moxley, and why have we not talked about Mike Mizanin, or Kane?
Oh, you mean like the people who followed in John Cena's footsteps with 12 rounds in the Marine movies?
And and Randy Orton, because he did 2 movies. But again, we will get to those. He did the
second 12 rounds. Yeah.
We'll get to those on another episode because those movies are not as great, but I do respect the actors that did their roles. So we will cover them. I think that WWE produced the best in Dave Batista. They gave him a platform, and he is the best actor out of that generation.
Well, what I'm getting at is his, I mean, like Dre said, Inspector. Okay. He's played family friendly roles. We've seen plenty of those movies on Amazon Prime, obviously, but he's done roles. He's been in Dune. Hotel Artemis, which is another favorite of both my wife and I. I mean, he's proven that he can play a lot of different roles. Yeah, he did the second Knives Out movie. Yeah,
that one. Yeah, that was good. He was good in that.
Yeah, he was great in that, and also in a whole host of other movies. One of those movies we're going to mention a little bit later, but my pick, 12 Rounds, was, I'll be honest, I loved The Marine when it first came out. I thought Cena was good in that. You know, it was your atypical action popcorn movie, as Trey likes to call them. You know, it's something you can have a little bit of fun. That one had a little bit more camp because you had like Robert Patrick in there, who eventually would play his father in Peacemaker series,
which is great,
ironically. And so I think there was a comment. I think he even says it in the movie. Was this guy the Terminator? You know, there's a lot of campiness, one-liners to it. But 12 Rounds, it felt like, okay, this is John Cena doing another action movie, but it was more psychological because the bad guy is playing a bunch of mind games with him. This felt a little bit different, you know? It was almost like John Cena was kind of upping. He was leveling up, so to speak, you know? Is this something that, you know, is going to be a box office smash? No, it was a fun popcorn movie. That's what it's meant to be, and that's what you're going to be looking for. But we saw John Cena kind of almost a Bruce Willis kind of a character, someone who is on a clock, who has to do stuff by a certain time. We saw, you know, that was the whole kind of premise of 12 Rounds, is he's battling this mega maniacal madman who, you know, he's got bombs and traps set all over for every contingency, just about. You know, he's trying to keep his girlfriend alive, his partner alive, and just all kinds of craziness. And it's just one big game to that madman, and he's unwittingly, you know, forced to play it. But I thought this was a really good movie. Now the subsequent sequels can be debatable. I mean, the second 12 Rounds wasn't too bad with Randy Orton, but this one I enjoyed. This is one I can watch again. The movies I picked are movies you can kind of watch over and over again, still enjoy them. But I gotta give this round to Travis though for Guardians.
It's bias, I say.
I mean, you know. Well, I mean, so one of the things you pointed out, Dave, is that, you know, the music that they have, and it's funny because I play disc golf. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like the chains and the discs, and you know. But if I go out for a round by myself, there's times where I'll throw my headphones in and play, and like I always go out early in the morning, like. I'll set my alarm to like 4:30, get myself out, be out the door by 5 o'clock, and I'm on the course like as the sun cracks the sky, and there's nobody else there, and I'm out there listening to "Come and Get Your Love" like freaking Chris Pratt, yeah, playing Chris Pratt, and I'm out there dancing, throwing my disc, and I'm just like doing the dance and everything, and like I'm out on. Yeah, that's exactly how it would be too. It's really bad.
You pick up a random frog and like,
come and get your love.
Yeah, that's really like that's my jam. That'll help me out. That's
it's really a squirrel that he picks up.
It's a dead one, and I'm just like,
it's a bit stiff, but hey, it works out. It works as a microphone. Hey,
but and I didn't care for that song before that movie, but that song in that movie just brings me back to that time when I watched that movie with my boys and getting laughs out of it and stuff. And
let's be honest, the soundtrack can elevate. It can make or break movies. I mean, hell, Quentin Tarantino knows that. Everything like Jackie Brown, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. I mean, the list goes on and on. You pick the right music, and it can blow a movie away. And James Gunn is known for doing that. Like with the Suicide Squad movie. Hell,
I haven't
Peacemaker,
seen that, so
Peacemaker, the 80s hairband music that he features in those that series kills it.
It's perfect. Like I can't speak anymore on it. But now we're going to what we like to call the honorable mentions. These are films, obviously, that we feel are they're that great, and
I hate you, Travis.
Great. I love Travis's pick. Dave's pick was a very damn good pick. I I went
Yes.
old school. I had to go into my brain and say, what's that movie that I loved that was so campy but funny and just hit the right notes? And that's Doom. The Rock as gets the BFG. If you all played Doom, or
We all know what the
Wolfenstein,
BFG is.
and just, I mean, they try to make it so much more of a lore
Gamer.
and they tried to. Granted,
there's definitely that one sequence.
Yeah, the end sequence where he goes, once he gets
the first person shooter, yeah,
it goes completely FPS, and I love that. But The Rock as the bad guy, and then turns, and it was kind of an interesting thing. Carl Urban is a lot of things I've seen him in. I felt he was dry, and his humor is kind of, he plays off of somebody else. And The Rock is The Rock. Like, The Rock is, is who he is. He can be charismatic and funny, but Carl Urban and The Rock's dynamic in this is kind of different. It's not like a funny man. It's like, you're the subordinate. I'm putting you as a subordinate. Your sister's the one. Again, solid popcorn, as I like to call it, popcorn films. And for those of y'all that is the first time y'all hearing it, I call a popcorn film because it satisfies two requirements. I can sit and eat a bucket of popcorn and enjoy the film, and it's just that, mindless. I have my literal critic hat comes off. I can sit and watch it and think nothing of it because I don't care to think it.
You turn your brain off, you just enjoy.
And Doom is that for me.
And it's that for me too. I mean, it's a monster movie in space. I mean, you for the most part you can't go wrong. I mean, this isn't Saturday night on the Sci-Fi Channel for sure. It is fun. I mean, some of the characters you're almost rooting for them to get killed.
There was like two that you felt bad for. You're like, ah, buddy. Like the one guy that was like the soldier that shouldn't have been. I like to think of him as a red shirt.
Pinky, not so much.
Didn't want to go.
Pinky,
Dwayne,
not so much.
Yeah, Dwayne, he could have easily gotten it, and he did at the end, but still.
Dwayne, when he still had hair on the top of his head.
That was a little bit. That was his gridiron gang. That was his gridiron gang haircut. A little bit of a fade, walking tall fade, before he started realizing he was losing it, and then he gets the Terramana money. But we digress.
Yeah.
So, again, I think a solid, easy, like I said, popcorn film. They Live is not that. I think They Live is far better. And Trav, go into why you have this as your honorable mention.
So I have not watched this movie in 28, 30 years probably, but it's like one of the movies I remember besides like Three Ninjas and cheesy campy movies from the early 90s that I remember as a kid. It doesn't live up to like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies as a kid, just obviously outside of just wrestling, overlapping, but like I think of this as like, I remember Roddy Piper. I remember this one in the was it like Hell Comes to Frogtown or something? I think maybe.
Yes.
Like my dad must have recorded them with Piper, and like my dad used to be like, we had the VHS, and he would throw that in. He would record like movies when they were on, like when the cable networks would do like the free HBO weekends
preview.
Yeah. He'd throw the VHS in and snag movies. And this is one that I remember seeing at some point and watching it a bunch of times. And I think, it's a cult classic, cheesy sci-fi like movie, but like it kind of ages well, right? Like, I mean, not getting political, but it has a ton of consumerism, some subliminal control. And like, if you're like me, who you like the Y-Files over on YouTube, it's a great channel. And it's like, you go down some rabbit holes with lizard people and all sorts of fun shit like that. And Dre, if you were you were listening to the show with our boys over at El Dragoon, right? And the lizard people and all that fun stuff. So, it kind of ties into all that stuff. And, I think I remember, the legendary line, right? It's like, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, right? By Piper, he does something like that. Yeah.
That is the pop culture line of lines, is I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And
then carried into Duke Nukem. I remember carrying into Duke Nukem and stuff when I was a kid in the Duke Nukem 64. Piper wasn't just playing a wrestler, right? He was, he embodied rebellion, grit, and anti-establishment attitude from wrestling and this movie. And it was like, so it kind of gave you a glimpse into what Piper could do. with more acting. He had some raw, skill, and he's definitely charismatic. So it's not my top movies, but it's a strong honorable mention because I feel like I remember it so vividly, and it's just it's a good movie.
No,
you're right. Go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna ask, Travis, how old are you?
40.
Okay, because when you're mentioning like not holding up to like 1990 Turtles, I was like, okay, I'm getting a vibe. He's a little bit younger. Dre and I are both going to be 47 this year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like,
yeah.
So there's a little bit of a divide here. For me, this is something I've watched religiously because when I said I hate you, Travis, this is a great pick. It has one of the best fight sequences. Now we're not talking martial arts, but we're talking pure street fight, just two people beating the literal shit out of each other, just because one won't put on a pair of sunglasses. when you got Roddy Piper and was it David Keith?
Yep.
Or is it Keith David?
Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David. And that's all one shot. It's not like, oh, we're doing this. I mean, that was like the one continuous thing that they planned out. And I mean, this is a John Carpenter movie. Yeah, I mean, you can tell from the score, from the tone of the movie. I mean, 80s John Carpenter was, I mean, ever since 1978 Halloween, the year that both Dre and I were born. I mean, Carpenter came out with that, and I mean, he could do no wrong for the most part. But I mean, this is just one of those movies. Nobody like, oh, a wrestler's going to be in this. How good can this be? But yeah, you had campiness to it. You had, I mean, hell, we had aliens, we had conspiracies, we had everything. But they have some great one-liners, and he's just an everyman. That's what we want in a movie. Like, he's playing an everyman who's kind of like bouncing from town to town. He's just a drifter doing a construction job. He's not looking for trouble, right? He stumbles across, these weird radio programs, and
oh man,
and then finds out about the conspiracy, and then the sunglasses. He checks them out. He's like, what the hell? I mean, and then you find out that your ex happens to be one of the people in charge, or one of the support people working for the big bads. Meg Foster's, I mean, she is a great villainess in everything that she's been in. Whether small bit roles on Quantum Leap, or being Evil Lynn in Masters of the Universe 1987 with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. Yep. She's played in movies with Rutger Hauer. I mean, she just has, her eyes give her that haunting look, and she can play a bitch really, really well. Let's be honest. But I mean,
a good RBF.
Yeah, but I mean, but like this is like you said, it is a cult classic. This is one I can watch, sit down all the time. I have brothers who are 9 and 10 years younger than me. They'll sit down and watch this too. Because this is definitely something that, I was the one in charge recording off HBO, movie channel when we had it. And then when we didn't have cable, we would go into our inventory of movies and just watch them back in the day. And this is it's just one of those, I mean, and also this is your atypical, I'll say it's an atypical sci-fi movie plot, but we have really good people in here. Good people who are kind of memorable. I mean, David Keith, or Keith David, I always, again, apologies, guys. He's played so many awesome people. I mean, he was the HBO Spawn on the animated Spawn back in the day. I mean, he has a recurring character voices the president in the Rick and Morty cartoons. I mean, we've seen him in so many damn movies. And one movie I definitely want to cover in the future, Dre, Men at Work. He was friggin' hilarious in that one as a supervisor for Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen. But I mean, he plays these crazy characters, and he's just an Joe Average as well. He doesn't want to have any trouble. He's trying to earn money for his family to try and support them, and now he finds himself thrown into this whole conspiracy, and this is just it's a kick-ass 80s movie, plain and simple.
It really
And
is.
Great pick, because Roddy got to feature like, hey, I'm not just some dumb wrestler. Hey, I can carry this movie, and he does. And he this wasn't his first movie either. He did one years earlier called Body Slam with some fellow WWF wrestlers and talents, including Captain Lou Albano, and also Face Man from the original A-Team, Dirk Benedict. Also the OG Starbuck from the 1970s Battlestar Galactica. So I mean, like, he's done some roles here and there, but this is definitely, I'd say, this is the highlight of his career was They Live.
And most definitely, I think so. And it's sad that we lost Piper years later, and and I know his daughter's now starting to kind of like be a little bit more prolific in the wrestling scene, in the sphere, I should say. Piper's definitely, his influence has carried, and I love that he is very anti-establishment, and like Travis was very nice and said, like, we're not political, but if you look at the way the world is right now, it's kind of knucking futs, and translate that how you want to. I'd love to see it captioned, but I had to calm my teenager down today because of the things. I said, look, you're home with your family, things are good, eat some popcorn, watch some anime, you'll be fine. And that's kind of what these movies, when we look at honorable mentions and films like that are very much giving you kind of a scope. Travis said it best. It aged well. And sadly, it's very apropos. What happened in that film is happening kind of now. So does art imitate life, or does life imitate art?
Well, and not to be political, but a certain person who was doing very well for themselves back during these years is a pretty important person right now. So I mean, yeah, there's definitely associations. It's not too far of a stretch. Let's just hope that they're not really people, aliens after us.
The lizard people. It's the lizard people, man. Go watch the Y-Files. Watch Hecklefish. Hecklefish will tell you it all.
But and then of course my pick. Give me a good zombie movie. Just give me a good zombie movie, and I'm down for it.
I don't think I even heard of that movie.
It's Netflix.
It went to Netflix. There was also a spinoff, which was technically kind of a prequel technically, called Army of Thieves. But this one is now, again, I think this was actually Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
did this one, which again. Him and Gunn, they are known for, like, some of their films, they know how to pick a soundtrack. Okay. Of course, Zack Snyder, I think, also did Dawn of the Dead remake, didn't he, Dre?
Yes, he did.
Now, so this is him kind of coming back. Now, they filmed this movie in a different kind of, they were using some different type of camera. So, because you can kind of see like a bokeh effect where things are a little blurred in the background, and then a little bit more focused, because the helicopter pilot was actually recasted because I guess the person got in some trouble in real life. They got in some trouble, so they had to recast with Tig Notaro, I believe her name is. Yes. She's best known for being on Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. She's a great comedian and just awesome. But this one is like the world, basically, there was a zombie apocalypse that started. It was quarantines around Vegas, and Dave Bautista, him and a few select other people, they actually survived it. They got out. Well, it just so happens that a very greedy casino owner supposedly has a vault filled with tons of money, and obviously the insurance companies are going to pay him back for what he's lost, but he also wants to get it, and he also has an ulterior motive. Spoiler alert for later on in the movie. And he wants to hire Dave Bautista to go into Vegas to reclaim his money from the vault. So what he does is Dave Bautista, he goes on this mission to get a ragtag group of people. He gets one other person who survived along with him, and they create this little group and they go in. It's kind of like a I guess it's kind of like almost like a Goonies goes to Zombieland kind of a deal. It's not really a comedy though. That's the thing. This is not really comical, but if you've seen zombie movies or some zombie TV shows, you might recognize a few faces. This is just like this Dave Bautista. He's not a bloodthirsty action soldier. He is a cook. He's a fry cook who said, "Hey, I'm going to give you all this money," and he also his motivation is, "Hey, I could do a lot with this money. I could make my life a little better and maybe patch things up with my daughter." So he's a family man, and this is one way that he can kind of, it's a Hail Mary. It's a hell of a Hail Mary, but it's a Hail Mary for him to try and patch things up. But when they go in, and he does come across his daughter, who is alive, and she's helping the refugee camps. We get some shady ass characters. We get some craziness. It's like the zombies. These aren't your typical atypical zombies. They are more tribal. They are primal. It's almost like they have different kind of sects or different kinds of groups, different levels, if you will. Like there's they call them shamblers. They call them, some are more warrior like, and some of these zombies are just ferocious. And it is definitely a different type of zombie movie. It's a heist movie inside that just happens to be taking place during a zombie apocalypse. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, this is all happening roughly 72 hours before a nuclear strike.
Oh man!
So that's one of the things. They're going to do a nuclear strike on July 4th, and that's why they have to go in and get the money and get out. That's why they're under a time crunch. There is if anyone's, and by the way, if you're a Marvel fan, Shades from the Luke Cage Netflix series is in this movie, and he is a total scumbag. He's in there. I mean, it's you're gonna recognize some of the faces, but it is a fun movie for me because I love zombie movies. It's not a funny movie, but it is scary. It is crazy. It's insane, and it's a good time for me. And Dave Bautista, he's trying to be the best guy he can because obviously during the zombie apocalypse, you hear me mention his daughter and himself. He had to put the mother down. We see this in a flashback. So I mean, that's why he wants to try and patch things up because he had to be the person to put her down. I mean, in the intro of this, you see what happens, how the outbreak happened, and then you actually see a series of people fighting off the zombies, and you see families being taken out. You see paratroopers coming in to try and aid the other soldiers. You see one person just get pulled apart just by landing in a zombie horde. I mean, if you like zombies, you like really twisted kind of apocalyptic type movies, this is definitely a good one. One of the people in here, there's a prequel movie called Army of Thieves, which is actually a pretty good movie onto itself, which is, like I said, it's kind of a sideways prequel, which is definitely.
And there's also an animated series that was also 3 or 4 episodes long, all done on Netflix.
Yep.
That are kind of mini events that happen during prior to going in.
But Dave Bautista was great in this film. He was the perfect guy for the character of Scott. He was. I don't think they could have picked anyone better. But it is
Ella Purnell. That was his daughter, the girl from Fallout.
Yeah.
The one that plays the main female lead.
Ironically, because she typecast now because she was in one zombie movie. Now she's in another apocalyptic movie.
And she goes into the universe. So go figure.
But this is it's I mean, look at the art. The art is very reminiscent of Suicide, the first Suicide Squad movie, which I thought was kind of weird because I didn't think Snyder was a part of that. But he might have been.
Well, remember that was part of the universe that he was doing. Because he was part of the Snyder. Remember, we had DCEU is post Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Because that was like the two parallels, the Snyderverse and then
Yep.
DCEU. And then Warner Brothers said goodbye. Mind you,
Yeah.
after his daughter gets killed and all that other horrible stuff that happened in his family life, Whedon comes in and finishes the movie, and then we lose the Snyderverse.
Yep.
And then we get just the last films, and now we have the DCEU. So Superman will be that first film.
DCEU Esquire. What? Huh?
Exactly. Now
But no,
on to the number one.
that was my pick. So
Now on to the number ones. And I think that these are going to be why. Now, Hotel Artemis, for me, it was a tough pick because I wanted to pick Blade Runner 2049.
okay.
Because Batista in Blade Runner 2049 was fantastic as a synthetic human.
Small part though.
Small part. And his
Yeah.
part was minor.
Yeah.
But
But it's
I
a
was
great
like,
scene.
but it blew my mind. Just the way he acted in the film. You have a guy with Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, and Dave Bautista. Never in my life would I think I'd see those three names together in the same room. And the acting chops were fantastic. Hotel Artemis is that movie. Bautista is showing that range once again. We go from the comedy to the I'm a badass of, an army of the dead to I'm a badass nurse that's working under this like kind of John Wick style hospital. And this is what I got to do.
Jodie Foster. He's working with Jodie Foster.
I mean, he had every single person in this film was solid.
Amazing.
Solid. I saw this movie when it came out at Christmas. I think it was 2020. It wasn't 2020. It was 2018 or 2019.
You saw it in the theaters?
I saw it in theaters.
Yep.
It was,
so did we. Roxanne was like, as soon as we got out, she's like, you have to get this when it comes out.
I was blown away, like completely blown away, floored by his performance. The fact that his character survived, and it's kind of like that this universe is like a John Wick style. Like I wondered if the Hotel Artemis universe, if given the fact that the caliber of actors were not all either Oscar nominees or Oscar winners, if they had thought to do this as like a John Wick series of films, because this isn't
connected to the Continental, that would be perfect.
I always thought that after I saw the John Wick films, that I was like, Hotel Artemis would be such a great, like, hey, if you don't go to the Continental, and after now watching The Ballerina today, it's like, damn, you could have easily slotted this into that universe, and it would make sense.
And who knows, that could still happen. They could still do something similar to it. So
we'll see. But that was 1,000% going to be my pick, because I think Batista, as we all have stated, he is the best actor to come out of professional wrestling in a long time, and this film is that.
He's an onion.
I don't think it's a long time. I don't think it's a long time. I don't know that there's a wrestler that I know of, and I watched wrestling for a long time, and it's like my biggest passion when it comes to like any form of entertainment. And I think he's the best there is, the best there was,
and the best there ever will be.
And we'll see what else is there.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna drop this little nugget. We still have Happy Gilmore 2 with MJF. AEW be damned for the crappy writing and everything that's wrong with that show. But damn it, MJF, if he's delivering the way he delivers the promos there, and he's delivering on the mic in this movie,
Trey, I'm sorry. In my book, there's only one MJF.
I know, but
there's only one MJF. I'm sorry. I don't watch AEW. I don't have access to that. So, don't worry. In my book, there's only one MJF.
That's fine.
And he drives a DeLorean. Okay.
Yeah, and trust me, when you watch Happy Gilmore 2 and you actually watch and you see who we're talking about, you're gonna be like, because he was great.
I know of him. I know of MJF. I know what he looks like. He looks kind of like a douchebag with a scarf.
Well, he's a douchebag with a scarf, but
douchebag with a Burberry scarf. Let's be honest.
I mean, because the Iron Claw was close. but he wasn't. Again, we said movies about with wrestlers that were either the starring actor or the on the cast. MJF was such a small role in that film, and the same with the Mildred Burke, the Queen of Wrestling. Both fantastic films. Just Tony Storm doesn't do
Wasn't
enough.
Zac
Naomi,
Efron in that?
Zac
Iron
Efron
Claw?
was, yeah, and he does. I mean, fantastic work. I bought it on Blu-ray. I own that movie digitally. It's one of the best wrestling films, I think, of this era. Like you can look back and say maybe 30, 40 years ago there could have been a movie about wrestling. This is a show of one of the greatest Texas families that's not in the spotlight. That's not the Samoans. That's not I mean, you're not looking at the Rhodes. You're not looking at any of the Samoans. You're looking at just this microcosm and how amazing they are. And I can tell you now, in 25 years, 30 years from now, you'll be seeing them do a Rhodes film based on the same thing with them doing a Dusty. And I guarantee you it would hit just as much. So
who knows? Could be sooner than that. We don't know.
But Hotel Artemis
10
was
years.
my pick. 1,000. I know, Travis, you said you haven't seen it.
I have.
It's a good one.
Oh, you have?
No, I haven't seen it.
You need to see, dude. Hotel Artemis, like, it's you got to put that on like number one on your list. It's fantastic.
I'll have to check that out.
And your pick, sir?
Walking Tall, which is Travis can go.
Yeah, our guest goes first.
Travis, go right ahead.
So, The Princess Bride. It's not just a great wrestler in a movie, right? It's an all-time classic for me. I was born in 84, so I'm sure I didn't see this on release. I'm sure I saw it on recording that my dad snatched from somewhere, and I was picking up on it. But, the grandpa reading the book to his, grandson in the bed and everything, and he was homesick, and that's what he was doing. And Wonder Years, I can't remember his name, but
Fred Savage.
Fred Savage.
Yeah, Fred Savage. He was so, he was such a big player in those movies when I was that age, from the video game movie and all that stuff, and the Wizard.
Little Monsters.
Yes,
yep.
Yes. So he was like right at the, he's a main event guy. Like he was on, all the movies at the time. This movie had Andre the Giant in it, or Fezzik, or however you pronounce his name. But he kind of like, I wasn't big into Andre the Giant. He was really on his way out when I really started to dig in, right? Like the body slam that was WrestleMania 3. I was a kid. I was born the year I was born the first year of WrestleMania, right? So like that wasn't my thing. I got more into it with the Warrior. It was probably closer like to the 5-year-old, Travis, probably 89, 90-ish is probably when I started diving in. And, the fact that I watched this movie over and over, and when I was homesick as a kid, I would pop this movie in and watch it because it was like such a perfect movie for like when you're not feeling good and you just want to lay down in bed, but like Andre played good. He had natural charm, he had like this huge, like, big character. I could picture him if he was around and he was the age he was then, and it was, the 2010s, 2015s, he would have played a part in Game of Thrones, which I've just now recently started watching. He would have been the Mountain or one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, he would have played one of those guys, right? And like, one of the things that you always hear though is the people that were on the cast is that he was a pain. He was not a pain to work with. He was in a lot of pain. Like he had a lot of back issues at the time, but the whole time he stayed, professional and brought joy, and he kind of opened the door, into that other mainstream media, back in the late 80s there. So this to me, it's got that fantasy, and then, I always forget the things, but it was Montoya. Like I forget names.
Inigo
Montoya.
Yes, Inigo Montoya.
Like my father prepared to die.
Exactly. Yes. So like I remember all that stuff, and this one's just, when I think of wrestlers in movies, it would have been between this and really No Holds Barred. Like, I think of those two movies as like
wow.
the two original wrestlers in movies, but
Rip
because we were
Roar.
focusing on like wrestler in movie, not like a wrestling based movie, I left No Holds Barred out of this one and went with The Princess Bride. I mean, I think everybody in the world has seen this, and if you haven't, you're young and you should.
Rock. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I think you're high. I made a comment when we talked about this on our regular show, because it's one of, like, in our top. It's been always, this movie has always been mentioned as one of the top fantasy movies. We've said it's probably one of the best movies for, I think it was basically said by Curtis. He said this is a masterclass, and I think David said it too. It's a masterclass in storytelling. This is you want to tell the story from a modern perspective, but want to give old school fantasy elements and really play up. My wife even agreed, and this is what she teaches language arts. When we first started dating, I remember telling her, I said, babe, what she bought this movie. She's like, oh yeah, we gotta show Lana this movie. And I was like, we gotta show Peanut when she's now getting older. I want her to watch, because this movie, it just has that, like you said, that perfect element of everything. And Andre the Giant, just, my namesake so much. He hits it. It's amazing what he does. And it's like you said, I think any mainstream wrestling fan in the 90s that saw this film was like, wow. And then you see Piper, and then you see Hogan, and Hogan was in Rocky 2 or 3. Rocky 3 with Cobra Lang.
Might have been Rocky 3. Thunder Lips.
Yeah, Thunder Lips.
3.
And everybody, you look at, like how you said, he really did open that door, because again, a lot of wrestlers were not actors. It wasn't until that we can always talk about, like we said, like with 12 rounds, when Vince opened up the studio and he started making films, and some of them slapped and some of them just were trash. You just threw them in the trash and didn't even care to watch it. But again, it's this idea that these wrestlers are now WWE and TKO, they open that door up to be like, hey, now we are opening up an acting studio. Because how many guys like Conor McGregor, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, big name UFC guys have gone into Hollywood and have done the Hollywood, and it's amazing to see that transition, that even after you're acting, you could still do the acting and still be that badass, but you're just not doing it in the sport anymore. So it does open up a lot of cool avenues. So yeah, Princess Bride, 100%. Love that film. Love it, love it, love it.
And I gotta agree with Travis, because Princess Bride, you got Billy Crystal, you got Wallace Shawn, you got Carrie Elways, you got all these people who they were already legends at that time, and then Carrie Elways was still becoming bigger and bigger, of course. But Andre showed them, hey, I'm a wrestler, but we're not hard asses. We're not the people you see on TV or at the live events.
Yep.
And you
kayfabe was live back then.
Yeah. Well, like Madison Square Garden, like if someone went to the actual events. You got to see, they saw that he was a gentle giant. Like Dre said, he was dealing with a lot of health issues because of his condition. Those people who are literal giants, they have a lot of strains on all their organs. But a lot of people, you can even look this up, a lot of people like Carrie Elways and many others have often said that Andre would treat them to dinner. Like Andre was always about, trying to pick, even back then. Let's be honest. As a wrestler, he was paid peanuts. It wasn't like he was making millions and millions of dollars. He was smart with his money, though. But he felt like, hey, these people are giving me an opportunity. I want to give them an opportunity back. So by trying to treat them like family. And the thing is, like, is he a massive? He's definitely an integral part of this movie, but he also wasn't being a drama queen. He wasn't like, hey, well, I should be able to do this and do that. He got along with everyone, and this is one of those movies that I think are timeless. Sadly, my better half is not a fan of Princess Bride. She's never actually watched it all the way through.
Wow.
Well, some of her family aren't big fans of it, but I mean, I'll sit there and watch it. And let's be honest, it's one of those movies we quote the lines. Let's be honest.
Have fun storming the castle.
In the castle, I mean, and Mandy Patinkin's like I said, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepared to die. I mean, those are just things that are they're timeless. I mean, Carrie Elways, of course, Hot Shots, Twister, and literally, so many different countless movies. And it's just like you get so many people in here, and it's Wallace Shawn, who, of course, some of the younger people will know from Young Sheldon, of course. I mean, he's been in so many countless 80s, 90s, and 2000s movies. I mean, he played one of those. He was a character actor, played those weird, unusual guys. This is just a movie that hits. I think it hits a lot of us on so many levels. So, I mean, that is a great pick.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Which word?
It's one of the quotes from there.
Inconceivable. Inconceivable.
Yeah, I love that movie. Just look at how this film has translated over time. It is not like people look at Goonies, Godfather, Princess Bride, I can go down Star Wars, The Seven Samurai. I can go down the list of films I've seen in my life over the last, I've only been on this earth 47 years. I've seen a lot in 35 of those years that I would say I've really taken cinema in. And when you really look at, there's certain films that you would say that I need to show my kids. This is one of those movies.
I mean,
it hits. It's like, I need this to stand in a time capsule that like 40 more years from now, when I'm now old and crotchety and my grandchildren are having grandchildren or having children, I want them to be like, I want you to watch this and show them.
I want to add one more thing to that, Dre. Think about all the young people, the new generations who are watching this because of Ryan Reynolds doing his Deadpool. They did a little edition of the like a second edition Deadpool where they actually he filmed scenes with Fred Savage tied to the bed, where they're kind of doing the whole Deadpool thing, and it was, they made the room look exactly like it did before. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, what is this about? Oh, and someone's like, this is like a spoof of Princess Bride. What's Princess Bride?
Yeah, the dad says to the kid, that's from Princess Bride.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, even, you get people who still appreciate it over 40 years later. You gotta love it. I mean, I don't know if it's something that is a dated movie because it's a fantasy movie. Exactly. So there's nothing to truly date it. All you have is a grandfather sitting with his grandson with a book.
Well, that's what it is. That's what dates it. He's got a book in his hand.
Yeah.
Today it would be a Kindle or an iPad.
Yeah, literally. In how many kids?
Or you'd have the kid be like, well, why? What's with the book? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
A lot of us kind of prefer reading from a book than from a Kindle.
Oh, yeah.
You can bookmark yourself very easily instead of like, oh wait a minute, I have to save this.
Ask my wife, the one who teaches literacy and has a library in our bedroom upstairs, has books just lining our the master bedroom.
We don't know. We don't need to know what kind of books.
Oh no, this woman reads every fucking thing. Like I cannot not buy a book for her. But it's
How to
something
Lose
you
a Guy
think
in
about.
50 days. She still hasn't figured it out, has she, Drake?
I know. It's like, babe, come on, like it's right here. No, but honestly, like when you think about it, like you're right though, Travis. It's like, and Dave, it's like, what would you look at? The grandfather reading from a tablet. But again, my thought was like, how many kids want to be read to? Like I reread to her. I've been read to. I know what it is to pass that experience onto your children and what even your nieces and nephews. Like I think that's something I can't stress to anybody. that physical media is not dead, and that's what you need to like.
And
do.
passing it down to family members. Like this could have been a book that his grandfather read to him when he was a little boy. So this is like, hey, this is what's that, Travis?
If they ever redid this, they could. Sorry, you just hit me. They could
Yeah.
actually redo this movie, and they could play it in a way that's not a complete disservice to it. And they could just get different actors, as long as they have Fred Savage reading it to his own grandson. Like that would actually be a really cool play to do.
Yep.
And then have it you could have it just told from a slightly different angle. That would be really freaking cool.
Are we fantasy booking
totally
Princess Bride sequel? Are we fantasy booking this?
And they could take scenes from the original movie to kind of just like, oh, when I was your age, and do a little flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hey, it's all possible. But I mean, that's it's definitely like Dre said. Curtis brought up this movie. I wholeheartedly agree because, yeah, it is cheesy, but it's a fun kind of cheese. Who doesn't love cheese? I do.
I'm like just tolerant.
Well, yeah, we still tolerate you though.
I
mean,
my wife and my teenager.
Isn't this like Robin Wright Penn, who is the Princess Buttercup?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, this was her before Forrest Gump and all those other movies. I mean, for 1987, I think this still holds up extremely well. It's a fun movie, and let's be honest, so many people have brought up lines from this movie, like the marriage scene, marriage. The guy. Hell, even Jensen Ackles was at a wedding. He's doing a speech, and he does he does the reverend, he does the monsignor, whatever. Lots of voice, just like this. Marriage. I mean, you gotta love it when people who are our age, you can still bring up the reference and people are still enjoying it, reacting to it, honestly. So it's a movie transcends, and Andre was, I mean, no pun intended, he was larger than life.
He really was.
He was larger than life. And, he didn't, people looked at him like, what is this guy? No, he was real. He was a real person. And he'd done bit parts here and there, like episodes of The Incredible Hulk is actually Sasquatch, believe it or not. He's appeared in a few things. He didn't do too much, but obviously what he did mattered. And that's The Princess Bride. So great pick.
Thank you,
Dave.
And if I was recasting it for the reboot that I just suggested, you get Johnny Depp to play Aldo Montoya, because he could play a really good Aldo Montoya, whatever the guy's name is.
Inigo Montoya.
Yes. I used a wrestling name for him because it reminded me of it. But yes,
Aldo,
Aldo Montoya.
You went straight to the Portuguese Man of War.
Yes. But you knew who I meant, though. You knew what I meant.
Yeah, when you said Aldo, I just was like, Portuguese Man of War? Like, really? You mean the boogeyman? The Repo Man?
Do we need to have a special episode where we fantasy cast remakes?
We need a fantasy book. Yes, I want a fantasy book, because definitely he understands. He know. We don't even have to tell him. He got the list. He's like, let me talk to you.
Let me tell you something.
I could pull it off. I mean, you could use a jacked up Batista as Fezzik if you wanted to.
Folks, let me talk to you.
Hey, I mean,
Jack Black for Vizzini.
Oh, God, yes. Oh my
Miracle
God.
Max could be Steve Carell. That'd be perfect.
It would be. Yo, he has fantasy booked the shit out of this. I kind of want to see this movie now. I kind of want to see.
And obviously,
who's going to be Carrie Elways? Who's going to be Carrie? Who's going to be
He's still alive.
Pirate?
Bring him in. You get the kid that's playing Johnny Storm. You get
Carrie Elways.
Get the kid that's playing Johnny Storm.
You're talking the main character.
Yeah. The Dread Pirate.
Get Johnny Storm.
Wesley.
Get Johnny Storm, the kid that's playing him right now. In
you mean what's his name from Stranger Things? Who's Eddie?
Yeah.
I think you go with Glenn Thomas Powell Jr. played in Twisters recently.
I know. Yeah, he's a
Got
good
that,
one.
he's got that look.
Yeah, but can he pull? He pulls a great Southern accent.
What about Bill Pullman's kid? Bill Pullman's kid. What about him?
The guy who played Sentry, he could be.
Yeah.
I think the other pick is better.
Oh,
Glenn Powell. I think he's a better pick because he has that look. Where Sentry is
Florence. You could use Florence Pugh from Thunderbolt as Buttercup.
She'd be a perfect. She's the right height, the right.
You could do Pedro Pascal as Inigo Montoya if you wanted.
Oh, my heart. Just right here.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Come on. And the face that he would have, folks. He just fantasy book.
How about this? We get Nick Cage in there somewhere. Come on.
No. See, why do you have to put shit on a great sandwich? There's no need for
we wanted to remake it in a way that it was positive.
Nick Cage could be Nick Cage could be that six-fingered guy.
No, I don't want. Listen. Do not put the boogeyman in my All-Star Royal Rumble. Just leave it where it is. It's fine.
Do you guys know who Noah Jupe is?
Noah Jupe. The name.
He played in Wonder and Honey Boy. He was in a Quiet Place.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Really curly hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
He would play the grandson laying in bed on a sick day. He's got that curly. He's got that really curly.
By the way,
hair.
Chris Sarandon's still alive too. He was in this.
Nice. So I like the pick that you just said. If you had a fantasy book, that I totally would see that.
I think Pedro Pascal's a great one for Inigo Montoya.
He's got the swag, and he just seen him with the flowing locks would just be.
Now we just see him with the sword.
And then
it could happen.
I'm just saying. So Dave, obviously, go ahead.
Sorry,
No, Trav.
No, you're good. You're good.
I love this.
I could dig for hours.
He's fantasy booking. I love this shit. Like we don't do this. We don't always do this, folks. So you guys get some
what's
really
the next
stuff.
fantasy book that we're doing? Are we doing Never Ending Story next?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Okay.
He's young.
Sorry.
Sorry,
technical difficulties.
He's young. He's young, Dave. It's all good. He hasn't seen it. I expected that
came out the year I was born, dude.
I know. So that's see. No, my wife says the same thing. I'll tell her something, and I'm like, "Didn't you see that?" She's like, "I'm only 4 years older than my wife," and she'll tell me, she'll be like, "I didn't see that. You were like older than me," or like
I'm only 2 years older than my wife.
She'll be like, "Oh, you would have seen it. You were in high school already," and I'm like, "The fuck?" I'm like, shit, you're right. Yeah, I was in high school, and you were like in in middle school. Like, so yeah, it makes sense why certain things would have been missed. But yeah, I get it.
But you know what though? Since Travis is a grown person now, if he watched it, I don't think he would cry like we did as kids.
No, he would feel bad. It hits that movie.
He would feel bad, but he wouldn't be crying and have nightmares.
I did not have nightmares, but it was like the Optimus Prime getting killed.
I did not have nightmares. This is not my locker.
No, trust me. That movie, if you have never watched that film, there are 3 films.
You have never had night terrors. What?
How old is your youngest?
14.
Okay, so they're fine. They're safe.
They're safe.
I still will not show Dark Crystal.
Okay.
What was it? Dark Crystal, Pan's Labyrinth, Never Ending Story to her till she's at least 10. Because I don't want to traumatize her like I was. Like watching those films. Because my parents are like, "Oh, look, these are great films. Go watch this." And then I'm like,
Atrax.
I didn't watch anything scary at all because my parents would put on like Friday the 13th and Chucky when I was a kid. So like I didn't watch anything that might even upset me.
You were like
I was watching.
Yeah, he was like us.
Yeah,
I
was watching The Land Before Time way too old. I was like way too old watching The Land Before Time because like I would not watch the shit that they would watch. Oh,
trust me. When you watch, and the reason we say Never Ending Story because there is a scene in it that is probably one of the most heartbreaking. It's like, especially if you're an animal person.
Is that the horse in there or something in the water?
When he's it's in the quicksand, and he's just like
Yeah.
watching, you know, his horse just it's so deep. And then it's like Dark Crystal has this you know, a lot of weird kind of
Well, a lot
like
of
the bird creatures
puppets for that
are,
movie were just creepy. Even in, like, the humanoids look kind of weird and funky. Let's be honest. Everything.
It's there's a lot, and Dave and I've actually got a plan to do a show all about those movies that we called it movies that ruined your childhood, and like those are like in there because I mean, shit, they just ruined it. But Dave, obviously, we got to bring it back.
Walking Tall, which is a remake.
Of a remake.
For those that don't know, Walking Tall was actually a remake of a series of movies. Obviously, but based on books. But like Walking Tall, for me, it's just one of those. This was not because for The Rock at the time, this is one of those movies that was not the atypical action movie. You know, he was former military, came home, and just so happens that there's a lot of corruption in his town. He is brutally attacked, and he runs for sheriff. And I think this is actually based on a true story, to be honest.
Yep, because Kevin Sorbo was in the original.
Whoa! What's going? No, not Kevin Sorbo. Someone else. Hold up. Something happened here.
Kevin Sorbo was in something else.
No, Kevin Sorbo did do a remake of this. Let me just pull everything back up. Something happened here. There we go. Kevin Sorbo did do one, but I think it was The Rock that did it first. Did the remake first?
Yeah, and then Kevin Sorbo did a sequel after.
Mm-hmm.
After,
yeah, because the original was 1973.
That's right. Johnny Knoxville was in this one.
And
this
actually,
is the one with Neil McDonough in it, and it's really he's so good. He's so good.
Oh, he's a great actor.
Yeah, this was actually let me see here. Pulling up the original, because the original film was based on the life of Buford Pusser, Pusser, professional wrestler turned lawman in McNairy County, Tennessee. So this is actually based on a real person. It was played by Joe Don Baker back in 1973. So it was the exploits where he basically became a lawman and kind of ended corruption in his town. So it was loosely based on a real life story. But in this, he comes home. His nephew, I think. There's like a overdose or something with drugs, and that's when he steps in. This one actually has Johnny Knoxville as one of The Rock's best friends, and they're just going for a good time. And afterwards, one person got a little pissed off at him. They beat the living crap out of him. They scar his chest, and he actually decides to defend himself. Not just physically, but in the court, he actually defends himself. And at one point, he rips open his shirt to show the scars. And he says, "You know what? I'm also going to be running for sheriff because I'm going to bring an end to all this." And one of the things you see him walking with the big plank right there, that 4x4. Oh, he actually uses that as an actual weapon. And that's something from the original. This is something. It was more. He wasn't like super strong. He wasn't doing like all these military skills. He was just one man who was fed up with injustice. He saw the town kind of dying because once the mill was closed, the only main source of income for most of the town was the casino, where you could cash your paycheck and go and gamble it away. You had strippers, you had all kinds of drugs and everything going on. So he took it upon himself that he wasn't going to let someone like his nephew possibly OD. He wasn't going to let anyone else be in that situation, and he wanted to bring back the town the way it used to be. And it's a great movie. I mean, it's just one man trying to make a difference. It harkens back to a lot of the shows of the 80s, like I used to love Knight Rider as a kid. I used to love Airwolf. It was one person against the odds. And this was The Rock being all super strong or anything. It was just him talking to his friend, Johnny Knoxville, who happened to be someone who might have, mixed it up with drugs once upon a time. And he makes Johnny Knoxville his deputy. And he's like, "Hey, you don't want me." He says, "Well, I got pulled with the sheriff." Well, he is the sheriff, so he can do anything in the hell he wants. So it's to me, it's a good movie. Like you said, Neil McDonough is in here. He is great at being a bad guy. I mean, from
he's also good at having that, not just being the villain, but he has this great delivery of like,
oh yes,
being a nice villain. Like he has like, you almost
CW the Arrow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Damien Dark was just piercing,
fantastic,
and
he's done other movies and TV shows since, and I just watch him.
He was also in Star Trek.
He was in a recent show, Homestead, which was really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
He was in Yellowstone, and he was a badass in Yellowstone.
Oh yeah,
too.
And one thing I always appreciated was, for the first time ever, I think was it this past year, he just did a movie where the love interest in the movie was actually his real life wife. That's why he never would do any kind of romance scenes with anyone or have any storylines, because if I'm going to kiss anyone, it's going to be my wife. So you got to have a lot of respect for him. Yeah,
he got blackballed from doing a lot of things, and like his talent is so much more, like his talent as an actor is so much more far-reaching than he's actually. I know he's been in a lot, but he should have been given opportunities to play much stronger roles in movies. But I think because of him making the sacrifice
his beliefs,
to say,
I
owe respect to my wife.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but also he's turned down other projects because of his strong family values. But not for nothing, I gotta respect him for that. They may, 100%. He may, some of his religious views may not line up with me personally, but hey, they don't have to. He's a hell of an actor.
They don't have to. If he's an actor, if he's honorable, like if he says what he's doing, and I mean, I'm married 20-something years. I would never cross that line as an actor. So it would, even if it's a job, like you can use that excuse, and I'm not condemning those that do, but the fact that he stands on that and could have made a lot more money if he just kind of put his morals aside and went and did what he wanted to. So, and his talent is just it's so good. I mean, he was even in the cheesy Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Like, he's got such a wide, like, library.
It's his voice, it's his look, because he's got those lighter looking eyes, which can be piercing. He can be dark.
Yep.
He has been the fun villain. The guy who, like I said, in Arrow, playing Damien Dark, and also DC Legends Tomorrow, appearing on Flash. He has played
America.
as Dum Dum Dugan. He has this range, but he's also, like, I think he would be on the list of, like, if you were ever given the opportunity to do a TV show or a movie, he's kind of like one of the people you would definitely want to be a part of it, and he's great at being the villain in this movie,
Oh yeah.
And The Rock, this is, I hate to say this, I think this is probably my favorite Rock movie, which is saying a lot, because don't get me wrong, I love Doom. Doom is definitely a popcorn movie for me, but I kind of consider it more of a Carl Urban film than a rock film,
I can see that.
But no, Walking Tall, this is definitely one of my favorites. I'm not shitting on the Scorpion King. Yes, I am.
We told you shitting on the Scorpion King. Akun Machente, his only line in the whole freaking movie. Come on, bro.
So there's a movie that I will say is better than that.
The second Mummy movie, Scorpion King movies.
That's right.
He did have some more. He had more than one line. Yeah.
So I surprisingly liked him. In Hercules. It's a cheesy movie, but I liked him in Hercules.
I saw that once.
I liked him in Gridiron. Gang.
Love him.
I thought that was a decent, underrated, like, Friday Night Lights type movie. But his best movie he's ever been in, Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart, was so unbelievably funny that like
the shower scene
is so good. So like that movie, like what was interesting about that movie is my daughter is in cheerleading, and we were at cheerleading and we were watching this big competition, and they only compete for like 3 or 4 minutes, right? So like I'm just chilling, waiting, and I'm watching movies with my headphones on. And I'm start watching that movie, and there's some girls up competing, and I'm normally pretty quiet and chill, but I just started busting out laughing in the middle of some other cheer team's like competition set, and like everybody around me is just like, "Wow, what an a-hole!" because I'm like they don't realize I'm listening to headphones in my ear, and like I'm sitting there with my hood on and my headphones in, I'm just watching it on my phone, and I'm just dying laughing, and these girls are like making mistakes on stage, not my own daughter, like another team, and I'm just seeing like this jerk laughing at this other, one of my favorite movies, Central Intelligence, and it might be because I have that stupid story to go with it, where I looked like the worst dad in the history of cheer dads.
No, I think we've all had those moments of where we've watched a film that like I mean, Central Intelligence is hilarious. The other guys,
he's only in it for such a blip though.
And then Pain and Gain, another great one. I mean, like there's a lot. Like I said, movie. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it, but again, this is why we made this a multi-tiered series, because I knew that we as wrestling fans, I knew as movie fans, we weren't gonna have the length of time and amount of movies, to go through. That's why I said I wanted to tier it. So these are the best ones. Our next one will be like those, like, hey man, they're good and they're real, and they're then we're gonna do, oh my god, they really did this, like bad ones.
I'm sorry. I'm surprised Dre didn't pick Mr. Nanny. I know it's one of his favorites.
Me and Hulk Hogan.
Well, he and I talked offline about that.
Exactly.
And we realized if we kept it off the page, then we wouldn't get criticized by you, Dave. So we both decided to kind of put
low key, Dave. See, I had to have my writers write that in for me. So yeah, good booking on my part. Like, hi guys, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
No capping. What?
Oh my god. And for anybody that doesn't get that, if you have not watched, I know this episode will air the week that CM Punk's pipe bomb has gone, like, making its 14th anniversary. Holy shit. And I say it like that because wow, 14 years that promo was big, and Cena did it last night on SmackDown. So for anybody that's not a wrestling fan, go on YouTube, because I saw a number just pop up on my phone, and my brother-in-law said, do you realize you see this? And he sent me a news blurb. Every news outlet has said that promo Cena did has garnered the most views on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram than any other WWE thing. Not Goldberg coming back, not CM Punk coming back, not Rumble wins, not Jey Uso winning the title. John Cena's pipe bomb promo, which was almost exactly 7 minutes. Watch it. It is probably the best video you will watch. Verbatim, if you watch people's videos side by sides, you will see he quoted Punk verbatim.
I saw the clip where they actually show the original clip.
Yes,
along with
it, it's so you have like Cena saying it and then Punk saying it, and it flows so perfect. But Dave, you can put the list down so we can kind of wrap things up.
I don't want to
because I figure we're kind of, like I said, we're going off here. But again, I'm gonna try to do this, and I think Allison brought up a good point, and I guess Dave and I will go into more details on the back about this. These are great episodes to do, and since these series are something you guys have asked for, want us to do, we are going to try to do them every other month. So obviously Travis has got a busy schedule, and Travis will tell us where you can find him, and we'll do all that in a second. But I would like to do this at some point, maybe late August. We can come back and revisit the worst of these films, and then maybe by the holidays we could do it again. That way we can kind of give everybody.
Of the worst, let's be honest.
Oh, there's a lot. That list is almost longer as the good ones. So we will definitely be doing that. But as I was just kind of alluding to, Trav, I know where to find you. Dave knows where to find you, and we've been friends for a minute. Why don't you tell people that have not seen you where they can find you? What do we want to know? What are you doing? Give us that information.
So, yeah, man, living life. We have the TOYLEET network over on YouTube with myself and Axion Figs every Tuesday night. A little throwback to WCW on Saturdays, where they would kick off at 4:05 or 6:05, whatever it is. We kick off at 9:05 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night over on the TOYLEET network. We always have an interesting topic every week we like to kind of bring up. Next week, or when this airs, it'll be after we reviewed everyone's activities at Joe Fest, and we'll have another show to talk about independent toy lines and how they're changing the game coming up after this airs. So if you catch us next Tuesday, we'll be talking about toys from independent toy lines. If you want to go back and check last week's episode out, which is actually a couple days from when we're recording this because we're not live, you can see us talk a little bit about Joe Fest recaps. But me and Ed Axion Figs do that every week, and then I have the HEXASTACK.
Which channel is it
That's
broadcast
the toy.
on?
It's the TOYLEET network, so it's TOY.
And we're gonna have links in the video description below, guys, so you can go ahead and follow them out every Tuesday. And those who aren't familiar with Action Figs, he is a very awesome. He's just awesome guy all around. We've had him on the show, a fellow Western New Yorker, so you can't go wrong with that.
And other than that, I got the HEXASTACK.com, which is really kind of how I started to break into the toy community here. Been a follower, fan, involved in things, but came up with a way to display your action figures, which is now live and on sale. So you can go on there. I've actually got 2 other major items coming this year. Later this summer, there's a really cool announcement that'll be built through HEXASTACK. So definitely keep a lookout for that. It'll be a pre-order thing sometime in July, hopefully.
And that's
for wrestling fans.
HEXASTACK, correct? HEXASTACK. There you guys go, right there.
HEXASTACK right there. It's the HEXASTACK.com though. Just because somebody already owned the other name, so I had to add the in front of it, just like the Mr. Wonderful. So check that out. And then there's a project I'm working on with my son here. We're doing my oldest son's 21. He's a very talented individual, and working on some stuff on the side, kind of working on things. Hopefully September, October, we'll have some announcements around that. So 2025 is going to be a big year for the HEXASTACK brand and the TOYLEET network. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys for having me on. It was awesome chatting, about nerdy things in movies and the way I can bring wrestling into it, because that's really how I got into everything that I get into. From G.I. Joes, it was because of Sergeant Slaughter. Wrestling was my thing. Toys and this adult collector was wrestling. So bringing movies and wrestlers together was really cool.
Yeah, and it was themed because, again, like we always do, we theme our guests to our guests' likes. And you and I are very big wrestling fans. I've known you for some time now, and I've always wanted to have you on the show. And I felt, what better way to marry our relationship and Dave's relationship with you to be like, hey, we all love wrestling. Let's do this. And because we all love movies, it just blends perfectly together. And
absolutely,
it was great to have you. And like I said, we will be getting stuff on the schedule for you to try to make sure you can free up your schedule to be live. But if we have to, like I said, you're one of the few special people that we do give that credit to and honor to, that we will work with your schedule and work around it to make that happen.
Thank you.
Because you are.
Yeah, we can definitely do live next time. This time, I just started a new job a couple weeks ago, so it's a little hectic right now, and just wrapping up June. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed and thankful. Things are awesome. Better than I deserve probably, but I'm very thankful. So thank you for the positive vibes there. Looking forward to
That's what we
coming
do.
back on. Absolutely.
That's what we do. And you guys already know Dave and I have a bunch of stuff that we've talked about. Dave, unless you have stuff you wanted to go over, we kind of said it like I'll be on vacation at the beach.
Trey's going on vacation. I will be busy next weekend. The weekend that this is airing, Dre will be prepping for his trip, and I will be working Nickel City Comic Con, which is in Buffalo, New York. So if you happen to be watching this, you're not aware of it, Nickel City Comic Con, it's Buffalo's our big comic book convention that we have every year. Actually, they've been doing it twice now in June and in October. I will be there with the Buffalo Ghostbusters. So if anyone's watching this, you want to come through and say hi, I will be there. I will be there Friday and Sunday. Saturday, I'll be doing the ride for Roswell to benefit cancer research. Those who know our channel, they follow Stream for the Cure that I do every year. Was big success. Thanks to Dre this year, of course, always helping out. But yeah, we'll be busy with that. Also, as you can see, I have it displayed behind me, the work in progress, the Flux Pack for the Back to the Future Proton Pack I'm building. So looking forward to unveiling that completed and fully functional pack in August for Fan Expo in Toronto. So I'm looking forward to that. But for Dave's Dimension, I may be doing a stream this Tuesday. We'll see what happens. Tuesdays always are busy nights because everybody and their grandmother start, whether it's at exactly at the hour or they're doing the old TBS time slots, 8:05, 8:35. But I may do a stream Monday. I might do a stream Wednesday later at night. Who knows? We'll see what happens, because I have a pile of loot courtesy of the Sentai Sensei himself, our tribal chief. Sent me a big box of stuff I need to unbox. Sent me my
Spider-Man's. He got a lot of toys.
More. I got a lot of stuff. I got Joe's I need to unbox.
I blessed him with a lot of stuff. He blesses my family, so I had to bless my brother. But
and as you guys can see, it's a big mess here because I've been 3D printing like crazy. So
I love the Savage Crucible stuff. I can't wait. I got some stuff.
I just got all of it, dude. My Kickstarter just landed yesterday, dude. I just opened up for a second. So cool.
That's dope. Now, as far as what like I said, you guys know I'm taking a break from the personal channel stuff because we have just a chock full summer. Her birthday, turning 5, beach trip. My birthday, my wife's birthday, the summer of films that I will be seeing and reviewing.
The birthday of Superman coming out, the birthday of Fantastic Four coming out. There's tons of birthdays.
Yes. Just tons. And then we'll be bringing content back in like the first week. I'm shooting for the second week of September to getting back to content coming back on a regular basis. So I stay with it. And as we said before, if you watched last week's episode, which would be this past Friday's, yesterday's for us, we will be having a special July 4th vaulted episode Dave and I did, because Dave and I will not be available because, that's just 4th of July. We will be taking Peanut to go see Jurassic Park Rebirth, my wife and I, and Dave and we're going to watch fireworks. So I don't want to. I love you
doesn't
guys.
want to take me, so
I mean, we don't live in the same state. If we lived in the same state, his ass would be in every movie with me, and we'd be reviewing it the day of. But sadly, until that instant transmission like Goku can appear and give me that power, I can't do that. And but then until then, expect us to have 2 weeks of just back-to-back recorded episodes, and then on the 11th we will return with our live. And I forgot who the guest is for that day. I'll double check and I'll make sure it's up on the socials.
For shame.
So yeah, I know, for shame that I'm bad on that. But listen, I know that Trav has been giving us a lot of his personal time, and I want to give and on a high note. So Dave, take us on out, brother.
Guys, what we say it every single time. Dre always says, watch your head on the way out, and as always, keep on busting. And we're always going to catch you on the flip side, guys. Take care.
Peace, y'all.
Dre and Dave hit it hard in the dark, spinning tales from the void, never bark. Movie shows, they tear apart. Dimensions clash, they ignite the spark. Couch debates, turn the volume up. Set the chaos over for the